The woman's hands trembled as she stirred the pot. Steam rose into the cold morning air, carrying the smell of rice and stew through the empty street. Her name was Amara, and she had been standing at this roadside spot for 7 years. Same wooden table, same cracked pot, same tired hope that today would be different. Across the road, 3 small boys sat huddled together on the dirt ground. They wore the same torn shirts they had worn yesterday, and the day before, and every day for the past 3 months. Their eyes followed every customer who bought food. They watched the spoons move from plate to mouth. They watched people chew. They never asked for anything. Hello, friends. Welcome to Black Bite Stories. Before we begin today's story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We love hearing from our global family. Amara noticed them again that morning. She had seen them before many times, but today she really looked. 3 faces. Same eyes, same noses, same sharp cheekbones pressing against hungry skin. Triplets. Her chest tightened. She turned back to her pot and kept stirring. A woman walked up to buy breakfast. She paid and left without looking at the boys. A man came next. He ate standing up, dropping grains of rice on the ground. The boys watched those grains fall. Amara's stomach twisted. She served 2 more customers, but her eyes kept drifting across the road. One of the boys scratched his arm slowly. Another rubbed his belly. The third just stared at nothing. Amara set down her spoon. Her hands were shaking again. She looked into her pot. Not much left. She thought about her rent. She thought about her own dinner. Then she thought about those 3 faces. She picked up a plate and filled it with rice. She added stew more than usual. Her heart pounded as she stepped around the table. The boys didn't notice her at first. She cleared her throat. They looked up, startled. "Come here," she said softly. They didn't move. She waved them over. "It's okay. Come." The boys stood slowly and walked toward her like animals that had been kicked too many times. They stopped a few feet away. Amara bent down to their level and held out the plate. "For you," she said. The tallest boy blinked. "All of us?" "Yes," Amara said. "All of you?" They sat on the ground right there and divided the rice into 3 perfect portions. Not 1 grain more for anyone. They used their fingers to measure. When they were satisfied, they nodded at each other and began to eat. Amara watched them and felt something break inside her chest. She turned away and wiped her eyes quickly. A voice behind her snorted, "Feeding strays now?" It was Mama Gabenga, the woman who sold plantains 2 stalls down. "You know they'll never leave you alone now." Amara didn't answer. She just watched the boys finish every last grain. When they were done, they stood and brought the plate back to her. "Thank you," the tallest one said. The other 2 echoed him. "Thank you. Thank you." Amara took the plate with shaking hands. "What are your names?" she asked. The tall one spoke again. "I'm Kofi. This is Quam. And this is Kojo." "Triplets," Amara whispered. They nodded. "Where do you sleep?" Kofi pointed to the unfinished building behind them. "There." "And your parents?" Amara asked gently. Kofi's face went blank. "Fire," he said. "Our house burned." Amara closed her eyes. When she opened them, the words came out before she could stop them. "Come back tomorrow, same time." The boys stared at her. "Really?" Quam asked. "Yes," Amara said, "really." The next day they came, and the day after, and the day after that. Every afternoon, Amara set aside one plate. The boys divided it into three. People on the street started talking. "You're wasting food," someone said. "They'll steal from you," another warned. Mama Gabenga laughed loudly whenever she saw them. "You're feeding criminals," she said. "Just wait." Amara ignored them all. Weeks turned into months. The boys became part of her routine. Kofi always thanked her seriously. Quame asked questions about everything. Kojo stayed quiet, but watched her with careful eyes. One day, Kojo asked, "Are you okay, Mama Amara?" She smiled. "I'm fine," she lied. She wasn't fine. Business was getting worse. Customers avoided her table now. Some said it was because of the boys. Others just walked past without explanation. Amara's money grew thinner every week. Some nights she went to bed hungry so she could feed them the next day. She told herself it was temporary. She told herself things would get better. Then one morning she woke up and couldn't get out of bed. Her body felt too heavy. Her head hurt. She forced herself up anyway and cooked with the last bit of rice she had. By the time she reached her spot, she was sweating and shaking. She set up her table and waited. Customers came early that day. One after another, they bought food until her pot was empty by noon. Amara stared into the pot and felt panic rise in her throat. Nothing left. Not even scrapings. She looked up and saw the boys walking toward her. They were smiling. Her heart dropped. They reached her table and stopped. Kofi looked at her face. "Is something wrong?" Amara swallowed hard. "I don't have food today," she said. "I'm sorry." The boys went still. Quame's smile faded. Kojo looked down at his feet. "It's okay," Kofi said quietly. "We understand." Amara felt tears burn her eyes. "Wait," she said. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small loaf of bread. Her only meal for the day. She tore it into 3 pieces and held them out. The boys stared at the bread like it was gold. "Take it," Amara said. "Please." They took the bread and ate it slowly. Amara watched them and felt her stomach twist with hunger. When they finished, Kofi looked at her with something like worry in his eyes. "Will you be okay?" he asked. Amara nodded and forced a smile. "I'll be fine." "Go now, it's getting late." The boys walked away slowly. Amara packed up her table and went home with nothing in her stomach. That night she lay on her mattress and cried. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered to the ceiling. "I can't." But the next morning she woke up and cooked again. Her body moved on its own. She pushed her table to the street and waited. The boys came. She fed them. Days passed like this. Then weeks. Her body grew thinner. Her face grew tired. But every day she set aside food for 3 boys who had no one else. Then one morning the boys didn't come. Amara waited. She served customers and kept looking across the road. No boys. By afternoon, fear crept into her chest. She closed her shop early and ran to the unfinished building. "Kofi," she shouted. "Quame." "Kojo." Nothing. The space was empty. She searched everywhere. She asked everyone. No one had seen them. Rain started falling. Amara ran through the streets, calling their names, until her voice went hoarse. People stared at her like she was crazy. She didn't care. She searched until the sky went dark and her legs gave out. She never found them. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The boys never came back. Amara kept looking across the road every day, but the space stayed empty. Her heart felt broken in a way she couldn't explain. She told herself they were alive somewhere. She told herself they were safe, but she didn't know. She never knew. Years passed. Amara's hair turned gray. Her back bent from standing too long. Her table grew weaker. One day the leg finally snapped. She tied it with rope and kept using it. Business stayed slow. Some days she barely sold enough to eat. But every afternoon her eyes still drifted across the road, searching for 3 faces that never appeared. People forgot about the boys. New traders came, old ones left. The unfinished building was torn down and replaced with a shop. Amara felt like a piece of her past had been erased. She stopped talking about them, but she never stopped looking. One hot afternoon, 7 years after the boys disappeared, Amara was packing up early. Her legs hurt too much to stand. She was bent over her table when she heard it. The sound of engines. Deep, heavy, expensive. She looked up slowly. 3 black cars rolled down the street. Shiny, clean, moving like they owned the road. People stopped and stared. Cars like that didn't come to this street. Ever. The engines grew louder. Amara's heart started beating faster for reasons she couldn't explain. The cars slowed down. Then they stopped. Right in front of her table. Amara's breath caught. She looked around, thinking they must be stopping for someone else. But there was no one else. Just her. Just her broken table and her empty pot. The engines cut off. Silence fell over the street like a blanket. 3 doors opened. 3 men stepped out. Tall, clean, wearing clothes that looked like they cost more than her whole year of selling food. Amara's hands started shaking. She gripped the edge of her table. The men stood still for a moment, looking around. Then the first one looked directly at her. Their eyes met. Amara felt a shock run through her body. Something about his eyes. Something familiar. She shook her head. No, it couldn't be. The 3 men started walking toward her. The crowd parted. Whispers spread like fire. Who are they? Is she in trouble? What did she do? Amara wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The men stopped a few feet away. The first one stared at her face for a long time. Then he smiled. A slow, careful smile. "Mama Amara," he said softly. Amara's world tilted. That voice. She knew that voice. No, she whispered. "Yes," the man said. He stepped closer. "It's me. It's Kofi." Amara's knees buckled. The second man stepped forward. "And me, Quame." The third man moved beside them. "Kojo." Amara screamed. A broken, breathless sound. She reached out with shaking hands and touched their faces. One by one. Kofi, Quame, Kojo. Her boys. Her 3 boys. Grown. Alive. Standing in front of her. She collapsed. Kofi caught her before she hit the ground. "You're alive," she sobbed. "You're alive." "Yes, Mama," Kofi said, his voice thick. "We're alive because of you." Amara shook her head hard. "I thought you were dead. I searched everywhere." "We know," Quame said gently. "We saw you looking. We couldn't come out." "Why?" Amara cried. "Where did you go?" Kofi helped her sit down and knelt in front of her. "A man found us that day," he said. "A man who worked with an orphanage. He saw you feeding us. He asked us questions. We told him about you. He said he could help us. We followed him. They moved us far away," Quame continued. "They gave us a home, food, school. We wanted to come back. But they told us we had to wait. We had to grow. We had to become something." Amara covered her mouth with both hands. All this time, she whispered. Kofi reached into his jacket and pulled out a small piece of cloth. Faded, old, torn. Amara gasped. You kept it, she breathed. Kofi nodded. You wrapped it around my arm when I was cold, he said. You told me it wasn't much. But it was everything. Amara broke down completely. Kofi pulled her into his arms. Quaim and Kojo wrapped their arms around her too. The crowd stood silent. Even Mama Gabenga had nothing to say. Amara cried into Kofi's shoulder for a long time. When she finally pulled back, her face was wet, but her eyes were shining. Why did you come back like this? She asked, looking at the cars. Quain grinned. So you would believe us. Kojo smiled softly. So the street would stop and see. Kofi stood and helped her up. We came to finish what we started, Mama. Finish what? Amara asked. A promise, Kofi said. He pulled out an envelope. Amara stared at it. Kofi opened it and showed her papers. We bought you a shop, he said. The street erupted in noise. Amara shook her head. No, I can't. It's already done, Quaim said. It has walls, a roof, everything you need. Amara stared at the broken table in front of her. One leg was held together with wire. The surface burned dark from years of cooking over borrowed fire. She had fixed it so many times that she no longer remembered what it looked like new. Then she looked at the boys, the men standing quietly in front of her. Behind them, 3 black cars waited, engines humming softly like they were holding their breath. This is too much, she whispered, her voice trembling. Her hands shook as she pressed them against her apron, the same apron she had worn every day for years. Kojo stepped forward, his eyes calm but shining. It's not enough, he said gently. You gave us life when we had nothing, when we were hungry. When no one else looked at us, he swallowed. Now we're giving you the life you deserve. Amara tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Kofi walked to the nearest car and opened the door with care, like it was something sacred. He turned back to her and smiled, the same smile he'd had as a boy when she gave him the biggest portion of food. Come, Mama, he said softly. Let us take you home. She hesitated, her feet rooted to the dirt floor. For years this small space had been her whole world. She had cooked here, cried here, prayed here. Slowly, as if afraid the moment might disappear, Amara stepped into the car. The seat welcomed her, soft and warm, too soft. She ran her fingers over the smooth fabric, unsure if she belonged there. As the door closed, she looked out the window. Her street stretched out before her, the narrow path, the cracked walls, the place where she had stood day after day selling food to survive. She remembered 3 thin boys sitting nearby, watching her cook, their eyes always hopeful, always hungry. Without thinking, she pressed her hand against the glass. Thank you, she whispered, not to the car, not to the crowd, but to the memory of endurance that had carried her this far. The cars pulled away slowly. People lined the street, waving. Some clapped. Some wiped tears from their faces. Mama Gabenga stood frozen, her mouth open, unable to move. Amara didn't look back. She couldn't. If she did, she might fall apart. Instead, she looked forward at the 3 men sitting ahead of her, her boys, her family. The drive was quiet. No one rushed the moment. When the car finally stopped, Amara felt her heart pound. She stepped out and looked up. A clean building stood before her, painted walls glowing in the sunlight. Large glass windows reflected the sky. Above the door was a sign simple, clear, impossible. Her name. Amara walked closer, her steps slow, her breath shallow. She raised her hand and touched the sign with shaking fingers, as if it might vanish. She turned back to the boys, tears running freely now. "Mine?" she asked, barely able to speak. "Yours," Kofi said. Her knees almost gave way. Quame moved closer, ready to catch her if she fell. She laughed softly through her tears, a sound she hadn't made in years. Then she looked at them, really looked at them, the men they had become, standing strong, because someone once believed they were worth saving. "I only gave you food," she said quietly. Quame shook his head. "You gave us a future," Kojo nodded. "You gave us hope, Mama, when the world turned its back on us." Kofi stepped forward and took her hands in his. "And now," he said, voice firm but warm, "we're giving you ours. We're not leaving. We're staying. We're family." Amara lifted her face to the sky. The clouds moved slowly above her, the same sky she had prayed to for years. She smiled through her tears. For the first time in 7 long years, her heart felt full, not heavy, not tired, not afraid. Behind her, the 3 cars stood quietly, engines silent now. The promise was complete. The boy she fed with nothing had returned with everything. And the woman who never stopped looking, never stopped hoping, finally stopped searching. Because her family had come home,